He's reminding the world that the ANC and Hamas are basically terrorists. To
Oh
the
yeah,
whole
according to Trump, yeah, yeah. So to me, him saying that he wants to put sanctions on South Africa, saying he wants to cut aid for AIDS and all that, it's actually a good thing because it's a disgrace for any African nation to go to America or any other country to beg for help. We have to do it on our own. Biko said it, we are on our own. So thank you, America, and thank you for the West. If you do put sanctions on us, please leave us alone. What do you think, Lorato? My thing is that I think that the rhetoric he's saying towards South Africa is rhetoric. It's hurtful. There's a lot of hurtful rhetoric, and it continues to propagate racism and stuff. But I think right now, it's not a threat to South Africa. So I don't think Trump is a threat to South Africa. Even if Trump says that we're going to put sanctions on South Africa because they're a BRICS country, it doesn't matter. South Africa is part of BRICS, and they have other markets. And I don't think Trump can do a trade war with Africa and survive. I think this is just rhetoric for now. What do you think, Roulette?
I think he's also reminding the world that the ANC and Hamas are basically terrorists. To
Oh
the
yeah,
whole
according to Trump, yeah, yeah. Trump's a lot of what he's saying is rhetoric, which is harmful to South Africa in terms of it promotes and emboldens bad attitudes towards blacks, but he can't really do any damage to South Africa's economy. Even if he puts sanctions on them, it's going to hurt America more because South Africa has that insurancy policy where they're with BRICS and they can de-dollarize, and it's too late. But I think what Trump is doing now is just projecting a lot of rhetoric toward Africa. But my argument, which I said with Kunle earlier, is that I'm not. To me, I'd rather have Trump in office now with this rhetoric than have Hillary Clinton or Biden or Obama, who killed Gaddafi and destroyed Africa. And the way that the Republicans and the Democrats and the liberals project power is to actually do regime overturn in America. The way Trump does it is to talk bad about you and say, I won't give you loan, which is benign and which also helps us because then it shows us that we have to continue developing SADC, ECOMOG, West African things, and join BRICS because we realize now that if we're dependent on the US, they're going to destroy us economically, but they can't do that if we're not. So to me, him saying that he wants to put sanctions on South Africa, saying he wants to cut aid for AIDS and all that, it's actually a good thing because it's a disgrace for any African nation to go to America or any other country to beg for help. We have to do it on our own. Biko said it, we are on our own. So thank you, America, and thank you for the West. If you do put sanctions on us, please leave us alone. What do you think, Lorato? Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ramaphosa did say something to that effect that actually
Yeah.
we don't need that aid as much as
No, we don't. They
I
don't need it.
think we do. And the other point came from Gwere Mantashe, who's the minerals ministry of minerals and energy. And he was talking at the Africa Mining Indaba, and he was saying to the rest of the African mining economists that actually maybe they should also withhold minerals from the US if they
Yeah, yeah. If Trump wants a
they
trade war, he's going to get one. Yeah. And my
yeah
prediction is
yeah
that
yeah
with go ahead. No, you continue. Then I'll say my part afterwards. Okay.
yeah no for sure. So those are some of the moving parts that are becoming a little bit more
Yeah.
sort of like apparent, and I think this idea of us being more independent in terms of how we conduct some of our affairs should include some of these things such as aid. Of course,
Yeah.
the Americans offer that aid as diplomatic, cultural relations and things like that,
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
because I know it affects quite a lot of things, like
there's
even a
leverage.
simple thing like library services. There's like library spots in Pretoria where you have an
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
corner
Even
that is
what do you call it? The
funded by
German
the
one.
US.
What's that German one
It
called?
gives America leverage. When they start pulling back on those things, they lose leverage. So
Which is true, Kunle, but you have to remember all these things. Like what's that one? The German one that's in Nigeria, in VI, the German embassy. They also are in South Africa. They have all these outreaches and things, but these are still
Oh,
liberal mechanisms in which they gain a foothold. So you're right. All these libraries and things will go down, but this is what it means to be sovereign. It means that when you're sovereign, you're forced to look at your culture and your society and your economic system and say, we want our kids to be able to go to coffee shops and listen to jazz. I'm not being funny. We want our kids to
Necessity
be
is the
able,
mother of all invention.
yeah, we want our
Yeah,
kids to
sure,
be able to go
sure.
to coffee shops, paint, have fun, go to libraries, go and do these things, um, and all those types of things. But that the only way you can have that, you can't cheat the system, is once you get into socialism. Once you get into socialism, that leads to a cultural revolution too, where you identify what your country's cultures are, what your needs and values are, and the minerals of South Africa should fund all of that. Trying to bring in, because now what you have in South Africa or Nigeria or anywhere else is you have a artistic class which can do those things and are very well educated, whether it's through school or through reading, and they're able to do these things, study jazz, study these things. But even within South Africa and Nigeria, there are people who are living in shacks. Like in South Africa, it's Deep Sloop. In Nigeria, it's Ajagunle. Those guys don't have time for cultural libraries and stuff. So that has to be addressed first. And then you build up on top of that and have all the great libraries and things. You see what I'm saying, Lorato? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I think I'm just sort of like explaining some
Oh
of
yeah, I
the
agree. Yeah, I see what your point is.
some of the effects that it's having.
It's having,
I
yeah.
think like you were saying, I think 7% of that amount that US aid was releasing was going towards contraceptives and things like that. Um, and I think some was for antiretrovirals and AIDS medication,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
think there's a large number of health professionals in South Africa, which is strange actually, because these are health professionals that are providing free health care in
Yeah.
South Africa that the US is paying
Yeah, and so
for,
but it goes back to
when
this thing that
the
there's
US
no
itself
sovereignty
doesn't
though.
have free health
Yeah.
services.
There's no sovereignty because South Africa government is supposed to be covering that, not aid. Same thing with Cuba. Cuba created a vaccine for HIV. They did it upon all the sanctions America puts on Cuba. So Cuba is an example
Yeah,
that socialism works. And once South Africa kicks in socialism, they won't need help. And there's another thing. Cuba and Brazil will give South Africa uh, aid with non-contingent aid for HIV. Non-contingent, which
sure.
means they don't want anything in return. And what they provide is more valuable. Brazil can make every single antiretroviral drug that America does. And America actually tried to, that's why they hated, they tried to do overthrow in Brazil too, by putting that guy in jail, Lula, because of that type of behavior in which they're they're going. And then Brazil wanted to give aid to wanted to bring back in during Becky's time, they wanted to give HIV thing, and the US threatened to put sanctions on Brazil. So we can see this as an economic war. But now with BRICS, I'm sure they're not talking about it on the news, but if South Africa has any needs when it comes to that situation, that's going to be covered by BRICS collective. What do you think? Yeah.
BRICS is too strong
Yeah,
now. I mean, they got China
Yeah,
1 billion,
and you see what I'm
India
saying, Kunle?
1
I mean, not
billion.
Kunle, Lorato. Within BRICS, you have countries like Brazil, which are socialistic. Then you have
Brazil.
countries like Cuba, which isn't part of BRICS, but which is aligned with those guys, and they will counteract any sanctions America puts on. Same thing as Russia brings in oil to Cuba. Russia gives it to
Yeah.
them for free, only to
Panama could
frustrate
join
America.
BRICS
You see what I'm saying,
because of
Lorato?
this
Yeah, yeah,
nonsense.
yeah. So what we need to do, what African nations need to do in South Africa is say F you to America. You can take your because any money that they give, like you said, 7% goes for
It's leverage. Comes to the we
it's
come to
leverage.
the comma.
What's the other 93%? The other 93% is looting. You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying,
exactly.
yeah, no,
Lorato?
no,
Much of it
no.
is
There's
returned back to America anyway.
Yeah, yeah. It's looting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What were
Yeah,
you
no,
gonna say,
no, no.
Lorato? Yeah.
There's other aid initiatives that happen throughout the continent. Um,
Oh yeah.
it's just
Mhm.
that this particular, I don't know how much of the entire percentage
Oh,
in
you're
terms
talking
of.
about percentage of the aid, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
all of
yeah, yeah.
this is machinery though, because this is how the U.S. overthrows countries. They do it with soft power through aid and NGOs and stuff. So
Sure, sure, sure.
so don't take any of the package because it has a poisonous part which is going to undermine the whole thing. What are your thoughts, Kunle? Then
Yeah,
we'll come back to Lorato. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy. Yeah, I do agree. Isolationism policy of Trump, whilst uninformed, he doesn't actually realize that it's setting him back. I don't really realize
Hmm.
that he realizes that it's affecting their power and influence around the world.
Oh yeah,
The reason why people fear America is precisely because of things like USA.
Yeah.
So you take away that power, and you're going to see a lot more reaction. Panama could join BRICS, cause a big problem for America.
Yep.
Cuba,
Haiti also.
all those
Haiti.
countries around, yeah. I mean, they already have a problem around Yemen. I mean, if Yemen join BRICS and all those other countries around that area join BRICS, I mean, that's the two canals of the world dominated. And then
Sorry,
you're going
Kunle,
to tie China.
let's not forget, Biden almost wanted to kill the leader of Saudi Arabia after Saudi Arabia said they were switching to accepting money other than the petrodollar. Remember, Biden was pissed
Yeah,
off at MB, whatever his name is. So, but that's a battle they lost. So we're seeing that America's losing more and more battles. And I'm still predicting that within 5 years, America will join BRICS. Continue, Kunle, because they have
yeah.
no choice.
Nigeria joining
They,
BRICS is a big deal. Nigeria and South Africa are now part of BRICS. That's
yep.
pretty much Africa. You know,
But the U.S.
Brazil is
media is
not
not talking about
America.
it because it's
Yeah,
an
and then
embarrassment.
after the US, the biggest country in economy in America after the US is Brazil, I think, or the biggest population. Then
Yeah,
they've got the biggest
population
country
Brazil.
in Europe, in Russia. Then they've got the whole of Asia. You know, I mean, that's almost everything. And everyone is becoming increasingly dependent on China, and more so than America because of America's unstable behavior when they went to go and freeze all of Russia's money. The world
Oh
was like,
yeah,
"Ah, you can freeze our
and then
money."
Russia said, okay, we now need to change over to currency because they basically stole billions of
Delegitimize
dollars
the
from Russia.
dollar by
Yeah,
doing that. They did delegitimize the dollar in the eyes of the world as being a
yeah.
stable form of currency.
So this is
But now
chess.
everybody's trading in their own. They're
So
thinking
Kool
about
this is
us.
chess, and you're a chess player. So what America did was by seizing Russia's resources, they put Russia on alert and the rest of the world, and they hastened the rise of the anti-dollar.
Yeah,
And
his
and
base
Trump is
doesn't
doing the
actually
same thing.
realize all this money that they spend abroad is what gives them power. They don't
Yeah.
see that. They just see it as leeching. They don't actually know or understand what it does. So let them take it away.
Let
Let
them
their
take it away. I
ignorance
want
to
them
be
to take it away
exposed
because
because it's
it's going to.
poison, because it's easy. They just steal that money and collect it back anyway, and then we have to pay it back with interest.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm
so
telling you, the amount of
let it
money that
focus on.
African nations lose due to corruption could cover the amount of money they need from the West for help. All we need to do is socialize our
For all
resources.
this
And
aid, yeah,
what do you think,
sure.
Lorato? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I saw there was a TED talk. I can't remember who it was by, who was talking about how Japan and Korea and a few other countries who received aid only needed to receive aid for about 20 years before they became independent.
Yeah, because they're not corrupt. They use it for
Yeah, and no
infrastructure.
longer
Yeah.
needing that aid. Um, so
They
African
need permanent
countries,
aid. They're in bondage.
yeah, the African countries should definitely be moving away from that. And I think it's great that it's happening like this. Trump presidency is happening at a time
Oh yeah.
when BRICS,
I always say
BRICS
Trump is actually just part of an indication of the natural forces of economics. It's not really him.
sure,
America,
sure.
this change is coming because it only makes sense geopolitically and economically. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that the white supremacist power structure realizes that the things that they've been reinforcing are no longer working, but they're trying to
No.
go further down that route, even deeper to regress to like
And
in
also, there
older.
wouldn't be any
Yeah.
Western civilization if not for Congo resources. That's what started the whole
Yeah.
industrial civilization. Yeah.
For
And that's
sure.
what's keeping it going up till now.
But
That
now they
that
realize
goes.
the global South realizes that they have all the resources, but they still need to work together and then work with BRICS
Once
and
there's
work with
peace
Russia.
in Congo and
Yeah.
Congo joins BRICS, that's game over for the
Oh
West.
yeah, and that's why I believe that I'm supporting Congo in this war against M13. But the corrupt leader of Congo and all this type of stuff needs to go. Same thing with Mozambique. Frelimo, their corruption in Frelimo is undermining them. They need to put somebody in there who's a proper, who's not corrupt, so that we
Yeah,
can't have these rebel groups using the excuse to cause
And we
instability.
need to keep Western nations out of Africa. We need to keep Asian nations out of Africa.
Yeah.
They only come and to do business. They're not coming with
Yeah,
guns and
I think right now they
goods
do
on
have to
the
do
ground.
some work with. But here's the thing: so far, it looks like BRICS is a democratic association, even though it's not really, because China Development Bank determines everything. But we can stay there for a little while, but we need to build up. And if you, I hate to say this, but I see how the drug game works in America. The way the drug game works in America is that if you're a gang, you work with a more powerful gang, and the gangs, and even the Italians did it with during the mafia period. Warring gangs work together so they can get rid of the outside influence. Then later on, they can try to make their move and split. That's what Africa needs to do. For now, on the face of it, BRICS looks like it's okay because it has, at least BRICS has a democratic charter and a non-sovereign charter. We don't know if that's going to last forever. You get my point? But on the face of it, at least it's better
I
than.
think
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to have 5 permanent Security Council members made up of 3
Oh no,
Western
that's UN.
countries
That's
and vote
UN.
as
UN
one
has to
bloc.
go now.
That's going
UN
to
has to
end.
go now.
Everyone's going to be equal. So that
No,
that
no, that's
nonsense
UN.
has to end.
But what I'm saying is that BRICS is
That's what I'm
still
saying.
not
UN is
equal
going to
because.
become obsolete once
Yeah.
BRICS
So BRICS is
grows
not
to where it needs to.
totally equal because within BRICS, China has most of the shares because they have the best logistical framework. But they're playing fair. They're giving loans to countries, then they're forgiving the loans. But we have to keep a close eye because all over the world now we're catching illegal Chinese miners and doing criminal activities too. But at least for now, this is just chess. Just make your alliances, even if they're uneasy alliances. What are your thoughts, Lorato? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think I was just describing the climate that this Trump presidency takes place during.
Oh yeah.
When we're seeing the Sahel nations forming that alliance, that seems to be making progress and seems to be more and more progressive.
Yeah.
And they are also aligned closely with Russia, which makes
Yeah.
them closely aligned to BRICS.
This is a world
And
order. This is actually a real world order that's building
It's a
out.
world, yeah. Things are
yeah,
changing. This is the winds
it's a
of
shift.
change
It's
moment.
a shift in the world order. And what we saw actually even in the last week, when the president of the DRC had to attend an emergency meeting. There was an emergency meeting that was called by Ruto in Kenya,
Yeah.
with Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, and some of the other East African countries.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and they called DRC to the meeting, but the president turned it down to attend a meeting instead with the SADC countries in
That's good.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And
You know,
also
so
because
so you see,
Kenya is there and Kenya is a Western agent, you know.
yes, because Kenya and Rwanda specifically are pushing Western
And
agendas.
Uganda too. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
So him deciding to sort of snub that other meeting to attend the SADC one, which is more BRICS based, also shows us that there is this kind of like power play
Yeah.
that is happening even in the DRC
How
situation.
much you want to bet that
But
that in the background Macron is like calling China and Russia, say F Trump, F Biden, man. What can we do? France is a slick snake.
yeah, apparently Ruto wanted to invite Macron to that meeting about
Yeah.
regarding the DRC conflict.
France is a
And
devil,
people
yeah.
were asking like, why you want to bring France to an
Yeah, and
African?
France tried to come. They tried to come to our BRICS meeting in South Africa too. Yeah, that's some bullshit right there.
Yeah. So
Mm.
so yeah. So those are the issues.